My name is Dr. Sami Baya. Please welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to this live stream. We are discussing how to defeat a narcissist completely. Dealing with a narcissist can be emotionally draining and challenging. While it's very important to approach the situation with caution and prioritize your well-being, in this live stream, I'm going to give you some strategies to manage interactions with narcissists effectively. Number one, establish strong personal boundaries. Narcissists often disregard others' limits. So setting clear boundaries helps protect your emotional health. Communicate your limits assertively and enforce them consistently. For instance, if a narcissist interrupts you during conversations, calmly state, "I need you to let me finish speaking." This approach signals that you value your space and you will not tolerate disrespect. The other way to defeat a narcissist completely is to implement the Grey Rock method. The Grey Rock method involves becoming emotionally unresponsive to a narcissist's provocations. By offering dull, uninterested responses, you deny them the emotional reactions they seek. For example, if they attempt to engage you in drama, respond with neutral statements like, "I see," or "That's interesting." This technique can be effective in minimizing their control over you. Another way to defeat a narcissist completely is to maintain emotional distance. Narcissists thrive on eliciting strong emotional responses. By staying calm and detached, you reduce their influence over your emotions. This doesn't mean being cold or unkind, but rather not letting their actions dictate your emotional state. Another way of defeating a narcissist completely is to use clear and direct communication. When interacting with a narcissist, be straightforward and clear. Avoid ambiguous language that they could twist to their advantage. Phrases like, "I disagree," or "I need you to respect my decision," can help set boundaries and reduce manipulation. The other way to defeat a narcissist completely is to focus on facts, not emotions. Narcissists may distort reality to suit their narrative. In conversations or arguments, focus on facts and resist the urge to engage in their reinterpretation of events. Now, this approach helps keep discussions grounded and reduces the chances of being drawn into unnecessary conflict. Another way to defeat a narcissist completely is to cultivate self-confidence. Strengthening your self-esteem and confidence is key when dealing with a narcissist. The stronger your sense of self, the less impact a narcissist attempts at control or degradation that will have on you. Engage in activities that bolster your self-worth and surround yourself with supportive people. To defeat a narcissist completely, seek support from trusted individuals. Engaging with friends, family, or support groups can provide validation and assistance in maintaining boundaries. These support systems can help you navigate interactions and protect your emotional health. To defeat a narcissist completely, recognize when it's time to walk away. If interactions with a narcissist are causing significant emotional distress or harm, then it may be necessary to distance yourself, prioritize your well-being, and consider ending the relationship if it becomes toxic. Now, when dealing with a narcissist and you need to completely defeat them, you first of all have to know who a narcissist is. You have to recognize them. Remember, if it quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. If someone behaves like a narcissist, then most likely they are a narcissist. You start from there. So, to defeat a narcissist, you must first of all start by knowing them in and inside out. Know everything about them. Know what they love, what they hate, what scares them, what they want, how they think. You need to know their mindset. You need to know everything about the narcissist. What pisses them off? What makes the narcissist miserable? Once you have this information, then it becomes easier to deal with a narcissist. Now, you need to recognize narcissistic traits to defeat a narcissist completely. Understand narcissism. That is the first step in defeating a narcissist completely. Narcissists often exhibit arrogance, a lack of empathy, and an insatiable need for admiration. They may initially appear charming, but later reveal manipulative behaviors. So to defeat a narcissist, you need to set firm boundaries. Establish clear limits to protect yourself. For instance, if a narcissistic boss demands unrealistic tasks, calmly state, "I'll need to check my current workload and get back to you on the timing." The other way to defeat a narcissist completely is to implement the Grey Rock method. Become emotionally unresponsive to diminish their interests. Respond with neutral statements like "okay" or "I see" to avoid feeding their need for drama. To defeat a narcissist completely, avoid engaging in arguments. Narcissists often argue to feel superior. According to psychologist Greenberg, he notes that narcissists may use tactics like silent treatment or bringing up past grievances. So to defeat a narcissist completely, insist on immediate action. Narcissists may make promises without follow through. So it's important to express your needs clearly and expect immediate action, not just promises. To defeat a narcissist completely, maintain emotional distance. Avoid getting emotionally entangled. Narcissists thrive on eliciting strong emotional responses. By staying calm and detached, you reduce their influence over your emotions. To defeat a narcissist completely, use reverse psychology. Sometimes doing the opposite of what they expect can disarm a narcissist. For example, responding humorously to a belittling comment can diffuse tension. Therapy can provide strategies for dealing with narcissistic behaviors and help rebuild self-esteem. Surround yourself with understanding individuals who can offer emotional support and validation. A strong support network can provide encouragement and strength during difficult times. Understanding narcissistic behavior can empower you to set realistic expectations and recognize manipulation tactics. Nancy Wilson, thank you. Thank you, Nancy Wilson, for joining this live stream. I'm glad you're here. Good evening. How are you doing? So we are discussing how to defeat a narcissist completely in this live stream. And I'm saying one way is to build a support network. Surround yourself with understanding individuals who can offer emotional support and validation. Because a strong support network can provide encouragement and strength during difficult times. Another way to defeat a narcissist completely is to educate yourself about narcissism. Understanding narcissistic behavior can empower you to set realistic expectations and recognize manipulation tactics. Another way to defeat a narcissist completely is to practice self-compassion. Engaging with a narcissist can often leave you feeling drained. So it's very important to practice self-compassion by acknowledging your feelings and understanding that it's okay to feel hurt. Yes, Nancy Wilson, I can see your comment. You're saying you're doing well. That's great to know. Yes, that's the way. To deal with a narcissist, you must always remind yourself about narcissists, who they are, and how to deal with them. And one of my points is educate yourself about narcissism. You need to understand their behavior completely. Now, that way you'll be able to set realistic expectations and you'll be able to quickly recognize their manipulative tactics. Again, to defeat a narcissist completely, you need to practice self-compassion. Because narcissists are emotional vampires. They will drain you. They'll milk all your energy away from you. So it is very important to practice self-compassion by acknowledging your feelings and understanding that it's okay to feel hurt. Again, to defeat a narcissist, you need to stay consistent. Yes, Nancy Wilson is asking, do you have a book about narcissists? Yes, I have a book. I have a book about narcissists. Yes. Yes, I have a book about narcissists. So if you need a copy, you can let me know so that we discuss on how you can get it. Yeah. So to defeat a narcissist completely, you stay consistent. Because narcissists may test your boundaries, and consistency in enforcing your limits reinforces your stance and reduces their attempts to manipulate you. Yes, hi, I can see Anne Washira has joined. Yes, good to see you, Anne Washira. I'm discussing about how to defeat a narcissist completely. And I'm talking about, at the moment I'm discussing about staying consistent. Because narcissists will always test your boundaries. And consistency in enforcing your limits reinforces your stance and reduces their attempts to manipulate you. So to defeat a narcissist, you need to limit personal disclosure. Sharing personal information can be used against you. When you share personal information to a narcissist, most likely they will backstab you. They'll betray you with that information. So keep conversations superficial to maintain control over your privacy. Again, avoid future faking when you want to defeat a narcissist completely. Because narcissists will make grandiose promises without intention to follow through. So it's very important to express your needs clearly and expect immediate action. You also need to recognize gaslighting, because narcissists may distort reality to confuse you. So trust your perceptions and seek external validation when necessary. To defeat a narcissist completely, also detach emotionally. By not engaging in their drama or taking their actions personally, you can regain control over your emotions and maintain your inner peace. To defeat a narcissist completely, you can also seek legal advice if necessary. If the situation becomes overwhelming or unsafe, you can consider seeking legal advice or assistance from authorities. Your safety and well-being are very important. To defeat a narcissist completely, you should also prioritize self-care. Yes, I can see Nancy Wilson has written, I have narcissistic neighbors that have been causing chaos since I moved next door to them this January. Yes, Nancy Wilson continues to say, I put boundaries in place and now they have been acting up. Yes. I'm so sorry, Nancy Wilson. There is nothing as painful as dealing with narcissistic neighbors who are narcissists. And because it's very painful. These are people who are your neighbors. You cannot avoid them. You keep seeing them. And they can affect your life. So the big question here is, how do you deal with these narcissistic neighbors effectively? Yes, Nancy Wilson, that is, I think, what we should try and address. How can you handle these people? How can you handle these narcissistic neighbors effectively? Because many people have been complaining about narcissistic neighbors, and it stresses. It can even lead into depression, because these are people who are there, whether you like it or not, unless you decide to move. And maybe you love that environment, you love that neighborhood. So Nancy Wilson, Anne Washira says the best way is to go silent when dealing with narcissistic neighbors. Nancy Wilson says, I don't have time for my next door neighbors manipulation. Anne Washira says you should ignore them. Yeah, so silence and ignoring them can be a big move. Now, so what I think about these narcissistic neighbors, so first of all, just like any other narcissist, you need to recognize the traits of a narcissist. You need to understand what narcissistic behavior looks like. Narcissistic neighbors will always be will show arrogance. They will show entitlement. They lack empathy. They'll be very manipulative. They'll always need that admiration, attention. So when you are aware of these patterns, it helps you prepare emotionally and mentally. So just like you've said here, that you've put boundaries in place, that is another good way of dealing with a narcissistic neighbor. You must set clear boundaries. Because narcissists, including the narcissistic neighbors, will often test and push boundaries. So be clear and consistent about what is acceptable, whether it's about noise levels, property lines, or unannounced visits. You need to have firm boundaries. The firm boundaries will help to maintain your peace. Okay, Nancy Wilson says, they used to kick my apartment door before I put security camera on my front door. This man. Excellent. What you're trying to enforce is boundaries. You need your peace. Again, to deal with that narcissistic neighbor, you need to avoid engaging in drama. Because narcissists often thrive on conflict and attention. So don't get pulled into arguments or emotional exchanges. So stay calm, factual, and focused on the issue, not the person's behavior. Again, document everything. Keep a log of incidents, especially if your neighbor is disruptive or harassing. Note dates, times, and descriptions. If things escalate, then this documentation could support legal action or remediation. Again, stay emotionally detached when dealing with narcissistic neighbors. Try not to take their behavior personally. Narcissists will project their own issues onto others. So detaching emotionally protects your mental well-being and helps you stay rational. To deal with a narcissistic neighbor, you can also use the gray rock technique. Now, when you talk about gray rock technique, it means you make yourself uninteresting to the narcissist. Become very boring to that narcissistic neighbor. Be polite but not overly friendly. Offer minimal personal information to that narcissistic neighbor. And avoid emotional responses. This reduces their interest in engaging with you. Again, to deal with a narcissistic neighbor, don't try to change them. You cannot fix a narcissist. So trying to appeal to their empathy or logic often backfires. So focus instead on how you can manage your reactions and protect your own space. Yes, Anwashira adds, be aware that they want your reactions so that they feed on your emotions. Very true, Anwashira. That is what narcissists want. They force a reaction from you. That is food to them. Nancy Wilson had said that they went as far as telling the landlord that I am a troublemaker. The landlord wanted to buy me out of my apartment lease and I refused to move out. Yes, that's what narcissists, they love. A narcissistic neighbor loves drama. They'll try to smear your name, just like any other narcissist. They'll go on a smear campaign. They'll want to change they'll play the victim. So establish neighborhood allies. So to also beat them up. So Nancy asks, Doctor, should I spoil those neighbors with gifts and flowers? No, don't do that. As I already said, use the gray rock technique to deal with those neighbors. So you don't become very uninteresting to them, because these are narcissistic neighbors. You can be polite, but don't be very friendly with them. But you can try and find and get other neighbors to be your friends. You can connect with other neighbors who may be experiencing similar behavior. You can try to connect with neighbors who are also suffering from these narcissistic neighbors, for instance. All right. So that way you can maybe form a united front and you can support each other. And this can discourage that narcissist from targeting people. The narcissistic neighbor will be discouraged from targeting other people, from targeting their neighbors. Again, you can defeat or you can deal with that narcissistic neighbor by keeping communications short and professional anytime you talk to them. If you must communicate with them, stick to the facts and be as brief as possible. Avoid emotional language or giving them any ammunition to twist your words. Just like Anne Washira had said, the narcissist wants you to react emotionally. So don't do that. You avoid any emotional language. Don't give them power by being emotional. Then avoid gossiping about them. To also deal with these narcissistic neighbors, don't gossip about them. You might want to vent, gossip about them, but this can escalate the situation and give the narcissist a reason to retaliate. You see, if the narcissistic neighbor realizes you're gossiping them, then they will retaliate, they will hit back. So keep your conversations about them limited to trusted individuals or officials when necessary. Again, you can practice self-care. To handle these narcissistic neighbors, try to practice self-care, because it can be very draining to deal with these narcissistic neighbors. So make time for stress-relieving activities like exercises, hobbies, or talking to a therapist. Take care of yourself. This can keep you resilient. So another way of Nancy Wilson says, the scripture says we should get along with our neighbors by all means. Okay, the scripture says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Okay, that you should get along with them. I agree with the Bible. That's what it says. But don't forget there's boundaries somewhere. You need boundaries. Because if that neighbor is a narcissist, there are many ways of loving that narcissist. You can decide to love your neighbor who's a narcissist by staying away from them, by avoiding drama. By practicing self-care. So, if you play with fire, it will burn you. So if you play with a narcissist, they will hurt you, because narcissists want to control you. They want to control everything about you. So if you're talking about loving a narcissist, then I will tell you, loving a narcissist means setting boundaries with them. Love them using the Grey Rock method. You just don't try to change them, because you can never change a narcissist. You can't fix a narcissist. And remember, narcissists are master manipulators. What they want most is to manipulate you, to play with your head. They love mind games. So love them by staying emotionally detached. And again, love that neighbor of yours by documenting everything. Every incident, document it. Write the date, the time, and describe all those incidents. Because this documentation could support legal action or mediation. And again, avoid engaging in drama with the narcissist. They thrive in drama. They thrive in conflict. Yes, I can see there's somebody else who's joined us, Indira Salvador. Welcome to this live stream. You can tell us where you're watching this live stream from, Indira Salvador. You're saying my neighbor only cares about herself. Yes, that's what we're discussing right now, dealing with how to defeat narcissists. And we kind of started discussing about how to handle narcissistic neighbors, because this is a question that Nancy Wilson asked, and we are trying to respond to that, because there's nothing as annoying as having a neighbor who's a narcissist. Neighbors who are narcissists, they only care about themselves. Yes, they are very self-centered, selfish, egocentric, egotistic. They will use you for their own benefits, and they will do everything to get attention from you, to get admiration, praise from you. So you need to know the law if you have a narcissistic neighbor, because you need to research your local laws regarding noise. Some neighbors can just mess your peace. You may have property disputes with your neighbors. They may harass you. So you need to know your rights, because this will empower you to act confidently and appropriately when needed. You also need to know when to involve authorities and avoid retaliation. Don't fight fire with fire, because retaliation leads to more trouble. So it is better to remain above their level and document inappropriate behavior instead of reacting. So you can also create physical boundaries. When I talk about physical boundaries, I'm talking about put fences if you have a neighbor who's a narcissist. Have security cameras like Nancy Wilson. That's what she did. She put security cameras, and that way she was able to stop those narcissists who kept hitting her door. So make sure you create physical boundaries through fences, security cameras, or even landscaping. All those can be physical barriers, and that will reduce interactions and they'll protect your property. So when you're interacting with a neighbor, when you're interacting with that narcissistic neighbor, make sure there's a witness. If you're talking face to face with that narcissistic neighbor, have someone else present. This will discourage lies or manipulations, and they'll give you a witness in case the neighbor tries to twist the narrative later. Yes, Anne Mashira says, have good friends whom you can confide with. Very true. Those good friends are your support system. Nancy Wilson says, the scripture says that you should not pay back evil to the neighbor. I agree with you, Nancy Wilson. That's why you are told, that's why when dealing with a narcissist, we don't react. They don't fight fire with fire. Don't retaliate. You can ignore them. When they want drama, don't give them the drama. Just stay away. Leave God will deal with them. But you do that through ignoring them. But also by protecting yourself through boundaries. Like what you did, Nancy Wilson, I like that. You put security cameras. Yes, that is a way of putting boundaries. You don't want issues with them. You don't want problems. But you know you are taking measures to make sure you're safe. So make sure you have a witness when interacting with this narcissistic neighbor. And also develop a plan for escalation. If the situation worsens, if your situation with your narcissist worsens, then you can decide to talk to a lawyer to help you file complaints. And again, sometimes if that neighbor is too much, if the neighbor is too troublesome for you, if they are really a problem in your life, you can decide to move. You can move to another place, you can move to another estate or another town. So focus on what you can control when dealing with this narcissistic neighbor. You can't change the narcissist, but you can control your reactions. So protect your peace and choose how to engage through shifting focus to your own actions. This will help you feel empowered. Again, don't lose hope. Nancy Wilson says, my grown daughter is friends with those evil neighbors. I just moved into the apartment 3 months ago. Wow, it's very shocking. But if they're friends with those neighbors who are narcissists, then That's a big puzzle. Because we know narcissists can never be friends with anybody. To them, it's about what they get. Maybe they might even turn your own daughter against you. They might recruit your daughter to be their flying monkey. Yes, Anwashira, yeah, you've said it correctly. Narcissists will always start by love bombing you. That is, they are so good at first. But later on, they change and become nightmares. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, including that narcissistic neighbor, just focus on what you can control. And what you can control is your own reactions. So protect your peace and choose how to engage with them. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. With patience, and when you set clear boundaries, you can always be able to deal with these narcissists. So Nancy Wilson says, my daughter is mad at me for installing security cameras and a door for my front door. Very true. Let her be mad, but what you're doing, you're putting physical boundaries, because you care about your life, you care about your peace. So congratulations for that move, Nancy. You did good. You see, your peace is very important. Peace of mind is very important. Right, I think at this hour I'll stop there for today's live stream. Maybe I'll do another live stream during the day, some other hour. For now, I think I'll have to say bye. And let's keep building each other up. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep learning together. Remember, knowledge is power. And information is power. And learning is the superpower. So let's keep learning. Let's keep growing together. Hey, see you later, guys. Oh, before I go, I'm saying Nancy Wilson has said, my daughter wants me to call the alarm company and cancel the security cameras. No. Nancy Wilson, you did well to keep the security cameras because you want to be safe. You're protecting yourself, so you did well. And Mashira says, thanks all of you guys. Thank you, Nancy. And bye. We'll have another live stream later on. Thank you. Have a good time. God bless you.